And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to All Sports Western New York. Bob Koshinski with you in our new All Sports WNY set. Our guest in studio tonight will be Mike Harrington of the Buffalo News. We'll be talking about the situation facing Jim Kelly, Buffalo Sabres, Buffalo Bisons. Also tonight on the show, we will show you the winner of our man cave that was given away as part of our New York Yankees promotion. But first, in studio, we have, proud to say, Mike Harrington of the Buffalo News. And Mike, you were on demand. We were trying to get you in here right after that controversial Sabres news conference, but you were booked.
News conference? What news conference?
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember what you're talking about.
We'll talk about that in a minute. The first thing we want to talk about, and I'll have to admit that almost 2 weeks ago at the DePaulo Scholarship event, Jim Kelly confided in me that he was diagnosed with cancer. I knew that he was having dental issues. I knew from friends that he had the teeth removed in the front. But they didn't know at that time that the cyst that was there was malignant, and now he's come out publicly. And, this morning and yesterday, and, it's, as you can imagine in this community and with the members of the Buffalo Bills, there's been an overwhelming show of support for Jim because he's going to face, this is going to be quite the obstacle and quite the challenge for him.
Yeah, the shock value to Kelly's announcement obviously was huge, Bob. But the thing that strikes me is he was the leader of this team in the 1980s and the 1990s, and he's the leader of this team now. And you saw the way these players already started to rally behind him and say, this is the guy, he's our friend and our leader, and they're going to rally behind him. And, cancer doesn't discriminate, as we know, unfortunately, and that's the case with Jim Kelly. But it sounds like they caught it early enough where they can, go through the surgery and go through treatment, and that was good news. But certainly a shocking day for the entire football world.
Well, as I wrote in my All Sports WNY column, when he told me, I have relatives right now that are battling this insidious disease and some close friends, and but I was really shocked because Jim, he's almost like a John Wayne kind of character. He's bigger than life. And when he told me, I know my jaw dropped and really didn't know what to say. But you're right. He's meeting this, head on. He's got a great support at home with his wife Jill and his daughters, and I know their faith is very important. But this is going to be, it's going to be a very public thing for Jim and his family.
And it's very sobering for all of us. He's 53 years old. Life moves on. We remember Jim Kelly, came down the Kensington Expressway in 1986. All those great Super Bowl years were 20 years ago. We've already lost Kent Hull. Jerry Sullivan's column this morning's paper, very poignant how, you lost Kent Hull at 50. That was a real shock. And, time in life does move on, and these guys are in their 50s now, and they're going to have the same health challenges that the rest of us do, and maybe more with football-related things. But, just a shocking day. But you're right. It was great to see the immediate rallying of the football world behind Jim Kelly.
And you think within the world of sports here, certainly the Buffalo News, cancer has really hit hard in your department. And Vic Carucci has been a successful cancer survivor. And, our great friend Jim Kelly, unfortunately, passed because of it. And Alan Wilson. And, so, yeah, it's something that it touches everybody's lives, as Bill Polian said. And so our prayers are with Jim Kelly and his family. And this will be a very public battle and something that I'm sure we'll be talking about down the road. I want to talk to you now. This just came in. We taped the show Tuesdays right around noon. Marty Brown of the Buffalo Bisons has been suspended, Mike. Tell us why.
Marty Brown got a 3-game suspension, Bob. He was ejected Sunday in Norfolk, Virginia. And the thing that strikes me about Marty is he's very animated and very demonstrative with the umpires. He spikes a helmet. He covers the plate with dirt. He puts on a good show. I think International League President Randy Mobley got a little tired of some of Marty's shows. I did not see the ejection Sunday in Norfolk, but there was a cumulative effect there. Marty's been ejected 3 or 4 times. So he's going to be out for 3 games. He missed the first one on Monday. He'll be out again tonight and tomorrow. Doug Davis, one of the Blue Jays minor league coordinators, will be managing the club. But, Marty stands up for his team. He's a very upfront guy, and when he doesn't like what an umpire calls, he lets him know it, and sometimes he goes a little far. It's entertaining for fans and us,
right.
But I'm sure International League President Randy Mobley wasn't very entertaining.
See, I thought this would be a great opportunity for team president John Dandy to step in and manage the team. Because I know he thinks he knows baseball.
They do. They like to manage, but who doesn't like to manage? That's what's great about baseball. Team executives, sports writers, fans, everyone likes to manage.
Bisons, what's your take on the Bisons right now? They started out very impressive. It's been a rough couple of weeks.
It is. The Bisons and the Blue Jays really kind of mirror each other, Bob. Great offense, great bullpen. both big league and AAA, and just horrific starting pitching. We're talking an 8.38 ERA for the starting pitching in the entire month of May. The starters were 5-15. They have to turn that around. They've done a little better the first couple days of June, but that has to turn around if this team's going to be a playoff club.
How often are you at the park?
Well, whenever they're at home, pretty much I'm there. A lot of times I'm not writing. I'm doing other assignments. I'm doing a Major League Sunday column or just, checking into what's going on. But, I've seen virtually about 90% of the home games this year. It's been a very entertaining season offensively, but you're right, the starting pitching has to pick up.
Now, I was there early. I was very impressed with the attendance and the number of Canadians that had come over. Has that been maintained?
Yeah, the opening day crowd was the largest since 1999 for a weekday afternoon. You do see a lot more Blue Jay paraphernalia in the stands and the Mets. The weekend crowds are very good. You still don't see the total pickup that you will when school's out, but their average attendance compared to last year is up about 800 a date. That'll go up even more as we hit the summertime.
Have you tried any of the poutine yet?
I have not tried the poutine. You know what? I keep reminding myself. I have a note on my computer that says, check out the poutine. I'm glad you reminded me that.
I don't know if I'd be willing to try it. It doesn't look to be that appealing to me,
Well,
but I heard that it's good.
I'm told it's actually big enough for two.
Oh, really?
I'm told it's that large a portion, so I may have to remind
Well, you know
myself.
what? Let me know when you're going and when you're going to try it, because I'll call Art Wander to come down. And
Well, I saw him last week. I'm sure
Really?
he was looking to see what I had, but, he was right in the front of the free
he'd be
food
more than
line.
happy to eat off your plate.
He was ready to go.
There'd be no problem. You're the baseball guy. We carry New York Yankees games. I have to admit, I've admitted this on this show, we love carrying the Yankees, but I'm a Red Sox fan.
Wow.
But the Yankees are hanging in there despite the number of incredible injuries they've had to their roster.
They have. And when I was in Florida at Blue Jays spring training, the thing that we heard over and over again was the Blue Jays said to themselves, we've got 10 games against the Yankees before June 1st. Let's get him. Let's bury him early. It didn't work out that way. The Yankees really held the fort here.
Right.
They've struggled with their starting pitching. They've struggled with their offense now. They actually, going into yesterday, had fewer runs than the Houston Astros, believe it or not. But a big win last night, Mark Teixeira with a grand slam. They start to get healthy, they'll be dangerous. And right now, they're not buried at all. They're in good position in the AL East. They're right there. They're doing better than most people reasonably expected.
Yeah, the AL East, you've got 4 teams right up by the front with the Red Sox in front. And do you think Toronto's out of the race?
I don't think they're out of the race yet, but unless the starting pitching turns around, they're never going to climb out of there. They just simply have not been consistent enough. Who would ever think Josh Johnson, R.A. Dickey, Mark Burley would be as ineffective as they've been so far? Dickey already has more losses than he did all last year with the Mets, so it's really been a huge disappointment.
Are you surprised at the success of the Red Sox?
I'm surprised a little bit. However, here's the key thing. John Farrell comes back as the manager. He's an ace pitching coach. Won a World Series in 2007. No coincidence to me. John Lester and Clay Buchholz are doing much better with John Farrell back at the helm.
When Farrell kind of chose to go, it was a trade, I guess, technically.
He was traded, he said.
To the Red Sox. A lot of people thought, looks like the Blue Jays have just loaded up for another World Series run, and he wants to go to this team that was the worst in the division. Now, anything could change by the end of, baseball is such a long season.
Right.
But right now, it looks like he knew what he was doing.
Well, the chronology there, it looked like the Blue Jays cupboard was a little bare. They had some good prospects coming up, and Farrell had always said his dream job was in Boston. And I think that really kind of bled into the end of last season for Toronto. A lot of just negativity in their clubhouse at the end of the year. I think Farrell looked for another job if he could get into Boston. I think Farrell was committed to the Blue Jays if Boston didn't open. Keep in mind, if Boston doesn't collapse in game 162 in 2011, Terry Francona is still the manager, Bobby Valentine never gets a job, and Farrell never has the opening.
Right.
So a lot of things had to happen there, and I think it's really been the best fit for Farrell being in Boston.
And Francona is having some success in Cleveland.
Francona makes the difference. Does Nick Swisher sign with the Cleveland Indians if Terry Francona is not the manager? No way. The Francona effect, both tangibly on the field and off the field, is really evident in Cleveland.
We're going to talk Buffalo Sabres hockey when we come back. More of Mike Harrington and All Sports WNY right after these minutes. Welcome back, All Sports WNY. Bob Koshinski, your host. Our guest in studio, Mike Harrington of the Buffalo News. And Mike, you and Jerry Sullivan were the focus of a lot of talk. What was it, over a month ago, when the Sabres decided to retain Darcy Regier, the infamous news conference, where really it was Ted Black kind of got into, I won't say shouting match, but voices were raised between you and he and Jerry a little bit. Some time has passed after that. Have you had a chance to cross paths with Ted Black or Darcy since then?
No, I have not actually, but my attitude on those things is they're water over the bridge the next day. I've been through several press conferences like that. I remember after the St. Bonaventure scandal in 2003, we had a very vocal press conference at the Riley Center with their officials. The biggest thing at that, Bob, is it was web streamed, it was televised, it was on the radio. It was very jarring for people to see because they saw it live. Those things happen all the time, but now they're telecast, they're on the web. It wasn't as big a deal to me at the time as it was to the public afterward. And ultimately, it's just people having disagreements, and there's differences of opinion, and sometimes they're aired in public and sometimes they're not. Maybe that one was a little unfortunate in certain aspects, but no, I don't have any problem with the Sabres.
Well, this gray hair on my head means I've been around for a while, and certainly I think maybe some of the younger media members haven't seen that type of contentiousness, but I go back to the Bill Polian days with the Buffalo Bills. I mean, that was a weekly thing.
Absolutely. Brian Burke in his farewell news conference in Toronto this year started yelling at Steve Simmons of the Toronto Sun, "I'm glad I don't have to see you again." These things happen all the time. It doesn't have to be an adversarial relationship. Sometimes it is. Ron Ralston yelled at me after a game late in the season. We had practice the next day, we talked. I mean, those things just don't linger in my mind at all.
Well, if I remember correctly, back to the news conference, the thing that kind of triggered you was when Ted Black said that Terry Pagula is available for a comment. And obviously he has not been at all for the last year and a half, except for select opportunities. And most of them are business-wise, not hockey-related. And that's when you kind of opened up.
Right. I mean, ultimately, Ted Black is correct. Most owners of professional sports teams do not comment on a regular basis on the ice, on the field affairs. In this case, however, Terry Pagula rode in on his white horse a little differently, and he was available widely early on in his tenure. I think for the most part, he spoke this year at the start of the season to announce Darcy Regeer's extension. He should have spoken about the firing of the 16-year head coach, Lindy Ruff. That was a mistake on their part. Ted Black made it clear at the press conference, Terry's not going to be available. That's fine. They could have made that clear months ago and said, Terry's not going to comment. We kept requesting Terry. They kept denying our request. And not just us. Remember, let's not make the point here, Bob. People say this is a Buffalo News issue. Who asked the question about why is Terry Pagula not here? It was asked by Scott Brown of Channel 2. Right. So this is a Buffalo media issue. The Sabres have made it clear Terry's not talking. My other issue was Ted Black revealing that he was Darcy Regeer's equal. That he was not Darcy Regeer's boss as the club president.
To me too.
So now the idea that Darcy Regeer was retained, Terry Pagula is the only person who could speak on why Darcy Regeer was retained. So, I've certainly let that one go. They've established the parameters now. We're moving forward, and I will say this. The Sabres, to me, are the most fascinating team in the NHL as we head toward the draft. I'm completely fascinated by the potential for what they could do coming up with this draft.
Well, I thought one of several mistakes that Ted Black made that day is, it's the old attorney line, don't ask a question unless you know the answer. He made the statement that owners don't traditionally meet with the media. In this town, they have. At the end of each year, whether it's Ralph Wilson, whether it was Tom Golisano, whether it was John Regas, whether it was the Knoxes, they met at the end of each year kind of doing a season wrap-up with the media. I mean, it's always been customary. When Ralph became ill and up in years, you haven't seen him. But still, traditionally, that was always the one time you'd see the owner sit down and kind of address some of the season-long issues. So, he kind of put his foot in his mouth and he paid for it. But you said now it's time to move on. And really the question now is whether they can improve themselves. I mean, I'm not sure when Darcy Regeer said, get ready to suffer, I'm not sure if he's being serious or he's just kind of couching it for right now because then it takes the heat off for a while, if he's not raising expectations. I expect they think they'll be better than he's leading on.
Well, I think he regrets that choice of word. He certainly said that the next day. And obviously that's a word that's going to come back to them for a long time. I don't necessarily think they're destined to finish 14th or 15th in the East. I don't think they're destined for a 5-year rebuild here. If you look at it, if they can get in the top 3 of the draft or even the top 4 of the draft, and 3 of the top 4 teams have already said we're entertaining offers for the pick. Colorado at 1, Florida at 2, Nashville at 4. We might be willing to trade the pick. The Buffalo Sabres certainly are probably near the front of the line for that one. I think the Sabres can really make impact in this draft right away. In the NHL, you shouldn't say to yourself, we're on a rebuilding plan of 3, 4, 5 years. You can turn it around quickly. Now, the standards have changed. The standards were the Stanley Cup. Now, clearly, the standards are, let's just try to get in the playoffs first. But you know what? Maybe you have to walk before you can run.
What do your instincts tell you? Will Vanek and Miller be on this roster next year?
Absolutely not. I think, realistically, I'm not sure Vanek wants to be here anymore. Ryan Miller is going to be 33 years old. I think you can keep Ryan Miller and build around him, and he's a very good goalie. I just think they're more confident in Jonas Enroth. They got a big prospect in Hackett from Minnesota. $6 million for a goalie, Bob. With the salary cap going down, there will be teams in the playoffs who are failing who will want a goalie. Wow. How about the Pittsburgh Penguins after the last couple games? You think they might have a need for a goalie now? You never know what Darcy does in terms of trading with the East, but I do think there is enough of a package out there to get for Vanek and Miller to really start a huge rebuild of this club.
Okay, let's shift gears. I want to talk a little bit about social media because you participate, you live in the world of Twitter. Most of the guys do from the news.
We all do.
But I know, and I'm aware, I don't follow it on a regular basis, but I know our director, Nate Benson, does a lot on Twitter. And, you seem to be having a little feud with some of the local Twitterites. What's the right word for the people who participate in Twitter?
The way I look at it, Bob, is Twitter is an evolving media. It's full of opinion. There can be disagreement. I just have one rule. It's one very simple rule. Everyone out there, one rule. Don't swear at me. Speak calmly. Don't swear at me. That's all. And it's hard to imagine that people who have jobs and families and wives and kids do that as regularly as they do, but they do. People get very brave behind their keyboard, behind a screen. Now, I have certainly made some missteps on Twitter. I've been more obnoxious than I should have been at times, and I've evolved here, especially in the last couple of months. I've tried to take a step back and examine certain things. But I love Twitter for the immediacy, for getting links out there, discussion points. If you scroll through my feed, you'll see a tremendous amount of information out there. We can disagree all the time. I just think people are a little too brave for my liking at times, and I'm learning to ignore more, especially New York Mets fans. Wow.
It's not Howard Simon, is it?
It's not Howard Simon, no. But the thing is,
he's one of the few Mets fans.
Yeah, New York Mets fans, you can be criticized if you're one of the 5 boroughs, okay. But if you're from Buffalo, you can't criticize the Mets at all.
Oh, that's the rule.
That's the rule, apparently.
I don't think I would deal well with people swearing at me on Twitter, but that's just me personally. But you participate all the time. I mean, it is really. I mean, I've accomplished. I've mastered Facebook. I've got the All Sports WNY website I'm involved with. Twitter is just. I have a Twitter account. It's not something I go to every day. I don't know. The bug hasn't bitten me yet.
One of the things is it allows us to get opinions out there right away, analysis right away, and it's great for links to your stories. A lot of people get through the website of any newspaper in the country through the individual journalists' Twitter accounts. So we've really learned to try to maximize that to draw people into the blogs and the stories we have at BuffaloNews.com.
Well, it's as you said, it's an evolving part of social media, and one that obviously you said in your trade has become a very useful tool.
And no one knew about it till the last 5 or 6 years. I mean, our late friends Jim Kelly, Larry Felser, never had to go through this. It was just, if you want to get it to them, write a letter to the editor, and that's about all you could do. Now everything has changed.
Yeah. I used to work for Rick Azar back in the day. You remember Rick Azar? And the thing that always amazed me about Rick Azar, I'd walk in the office and he'd be on the phone in a very lengthy and sometimes heated discussion. And it would go on for like 30, 35 minutes. And he would hang up and I'd say, "Who was that?" And he'd say, "I don't know, it was just some viewer." He would entertain their calls and participate, whereas I think I would have been more prone to kind of answer the question and move on. But yeah, he would have been great for Twitter. Hey, Mike, it's great having you on the show. Now that I find out that you're taking the slings and arrows of Twitter on a regular basis, you've earned my respect.
Let's plug it though.
Go ahead.
BN Harrington.
Nate, make sure you put that up. He will. As you're watching this right now, it's under the screen. And so they can send you and just be, what was the term? You don't mind people challenging you, just rather that they not use profanity.
Intelligent discourse.
There you go.
Intelligent discourse, always welcome, profanity not.
Okay. Mike Harrington of the Buffalo News. Mike, thanks again for being on the show. We'll be back. We'll introduce you to the winner of our Man Cave right after this. Welcome back. All Sports WNY, Bob Koshinski. And last week during the Yankee game, actually on the 28th of May, we selected the winner of our Man Cave. Now, the Man Cave, if you've watched our Yankee games, if you watch WBBZ, you know the Man Cave is an all-inclusive home entertainment center. It was the WBBZ Man Cave, and it provides an HD projector, a Xbox, a DVD player. You've got a 5-to-1 stereo system. It's on wheels. You can move it around. You can put it in your living room, your basement, put it outside if you want to have a drive-in movie in your backyard one night. But we had our winner come in last week, and our promotion director, John DeSciullo, along with Joe DiMaria from Powerhouse Industries, was here to present the Man Cave. It was a very exciting time, so let's go to our excited promotion director, John DeSciullo.
It is an exciting time here at WBBZ TV because this is the time we're going to give away the Powerhouse Man Cave to our lucky winner. And Dan Carney, you're from North Tonawanda. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, you're a big fan of the Yankees and a big fan of WBBZ.
Big fan. I always watch.
Now, tell us about what it prompted you to want to enter to win. Did you like the fact that you have a man cave and you need this to project the games?
I'll use it for that and other things too.
I hear from your wife that your whole house is a man cave.
Yeah, I'm a huge Yankees fan.
Great. And you like WBBZ TV?
Yes, I do. I like the old programming.
Great. And, of course, the New York Yankees.
And the Yankees.
Now, Bob Koshinski from All Sports WNY, our Vice President and General Manager, is here. Joe DiMaria from Powerhouse Technology. So shake their hands because they were involved in making this work for you.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Putting it together for you. And, Bob, this was an exciting promotion.
Yeah, this was, great. It was exciting when we hooked up with Joe with Powerhouse and we saw the Man Cave. It certainly, caught my attention. I thought this would be a great giveaway for Yankee fans, baseball fans, and sports fans in general. And Joe, this is a multi-purpose unit.
Oh, it is. This unit is it's fantastic. You can play the Xbox Connect on it. You can watch TV. You can watch the Yankees games on it. You can project an image 150 inches wide. You can have a drive-in theater on the side of your house. It works on any wall, and it's pretty cool machine. Henry Catu and Turk Schonert, they're my partners in this, and they got very excited about this venture that we did, and we're just thankful that we hooked up with WBBZ, and we got this thing rolling.
Yeah, congratulations, Dan, again.
Thank you.
And thanks so much for being a viewer of WBBZ.
Thank you.
All right. Folks, we'll be having more contests throughout the summer and more contests on WBBZ TV, so stay tuned. You never know what's going to happen right here on your hometown television station. You going to share this with your wife, Dan?
Go Yankees.
Go Yankees. All right. Good line.
Thank you very much, John, and congratulations again to our winner, and look for more promotions and giveaways on WBBZ TV. We'll be back to wrap up All Sports WNY right after this. And a reminder, check out allsportswny.com for all the latest Western New York sports news. Of course, the big story up there today is Jim Kelly's situation, and there'll be more on that as the weeks go on. allsportswny.com for comprehensive Western New York sports news and information. I want to thank Mike Harrington again from the Buffalo News for being on the show, and check Mike out at his Twitter account. Just don't swear at him. And next week, we'll have more of the same right here on All Sports WNY. We'll have highlights from the annual DePaulo golf outing out at Wanaka Country Club and much more. So be back next week. Bob Koshinski, until then, saying have yourself a good night and a much better tomorrow.